Travelhourljm fam, what's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome back. Season 2, episode 2. The world is yours. And so today we're gonna have some fun today. We got a great guest. Our guy Brandon is coming on to talk about his world travel and all the places he's been and drop some gems on you today. And so we're super excited to have him. I'm reporting to y'all live tonight from Berlin, Germany. So I'm outside. I'm actually on a trip right now as well, and it's been going good. But I want to give a shout out to Berlin. I'm here right now, and the city is dope. The vibes are amazing. The culture is there. The people outside, and they actually got black people in Berlin. So I was surprised to see just diversity here in Berlin. But we want to kick it off and go ahead and get into things. But you know what time it is, Travelhourljm fam. We're gonna talk a little bit about what in the world. So for my North Carolina people, we gotta talk, y'all. Last week, I know y'all saw it on Twitter, on Instagram, and all other social media outlets. There was a substitute teacher, and Auntie had to put her hands on one of the students, and then it got a little ugly. And so that was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, 252. We gotta do better, y'all. And shout out to our teachers, because I know we got some educators that we know that we're cool with, and they're doing the work. And I take my hat off to people, right? Because I know damn well, like, I could not be a teacher in today's environment because these kids, they got too much mouth, and they be trying to write checks they really can't cash. And so I do commend our folks who are teachers that got to go deal with these kids because the parents don't want to discipline them. But on the other hand, too, I understand that we are adults. And so, the moral of the story is we got to keep our hands and feet where they're supposed to be, right? But at the same time, too, understand, like, parents, let's teach our kids to respect adults and authority, too, at the same time. I think that's becoming a lost art. And so if you out there, my parents and educators and all my teachers, let's do our part. Teachers, make sure y'all wear drawers to work. So if anything pop off, your booty not hanging out. And then students, if y'all going to school, show some respect. Talk to people as adults, That's somebody mama, that's somebody daddy. Show respect, to your elders. Always takes you a long way. So 252, we gotta do a little better, y'all. But moving right along, I did want to say some good news. We got some good news. The representatives from Tennessee who were expelled after talking out on the gun shootings at the school in Tennessee, at the elementary school that took place, they were reinstated. And so I'm glad to see that these men were put back into a place where they can express their voice, fight for the people, and continue doing the good work. And so big shout out to our people over here, the representatives that were reinstated, Justin Pearson, back into the Tennessee House after expulsion. As we look to close out on travel and things like that, one of the things I did want to talk about was just travel. Other countries have issued advisories for the United States. And so looking back on it right now, I know a lot of folks be like, hey, like, I want to go travel. I want to do this, but I don't know. I'm not sure about other countries. What I will say this is that other countries are also taking heed to what the United States is not doing. And one of the things that other countries have issued travel bans on the United States is, well, actually travel advisory, excuse me, is when a country is issued that deemed not safe. And so they're scored on a scale of like 1 to 5, right? 1 being not the safest, 5 being the safest, and things like that. And so we do have other countries that are now looking at the gun violence going on in the United States and saying that the United States is not really doing a great job around that. And so they're heeding their citizens not to come to our country because they don't think it's safe. So as we continue to watch the world, we always say this, like, use your best judgment, do what's best for you. And at the end of the day, you're the captain of your own safety. And so if you're ever in a situation where you feel you're uncomfortable, do your best to get out. But that's enough of what's going on in the world. I really want to, get our guest on here and talk about, the world is yours. And so today I'm going to bring on my guy, Brandon, from the Bay Area, and let him talk to the Travelhourljm for a little bit.
What's up, everybody? Yo, thank y'all for having me on. Really excited to be here.
Brandon, what's good, man? I know you're from the Bay Area and all that good stuff, man. So it's definitely good to have you on the show.
Yes,
I've been following you from afar, and I'm definitely like impressed with the work you're doing, man. You're doing some good stuff over there, so definitely kudos to you. Definitely want to give you your props on that. I do got to ask you though, man. you a man of many trades, man. It's like police don't know when to kick the door in because you got everything going on, man. So just talk to the people about where you from and what you do, and you know what I'm saying, what you good at, man.
Right. So I am born and raised in West Oakland, California. I'm like, damn, like where do I start, bro? It's like many crafts and many things I'm always a part of. Like I'm like I got my start in the arts, right? So like, you know, writing poems and acting and dancing and things of that nature. As I got a little bit older, I jumped into the music business and was rapping for a big majority of my life. So most of the people that like know me in my community and a little bit farther out mostly know me as a musician. But in 2019 is when I like dropped my last album and kind of put a book into that part of my life and started focusing on travel. And also, I was also doing a podcast and, you know, just like all the things that come in this like entertainment realm of life. But in 2016 is when I took my first trip, and it just kind of just changed the course of my life. Like I always say it ruined my life, but in the best way possible, because everything that I was like passionate about, I didn't want to do none of that shit no more. I just wanted to see the world and experience the cultures and the people and all that type of stuff. So,
Man, my man, you got your hands in everything, and that's dope too. Also to hear the evolution that's going on there, right?
right.
Before we hop into it though, we got a couple questions for you, B. So we got to talk to you for a minute, man. All right, we got to bring you down to the altar, brother. So we're gonna do a little bit of this or that, right? And so
Okay.
we're gonna give you two options. You're gonna let us know which one you rocking with and why, okay?
All right.
All right. So number one, we got up here real quick. We going controversial. NorCal or SoCal?
Come on, man. Northern California all day. Easy call. You want me to give me a why?
They say LA got the best rappers, man.
I mean, I don't know about that. I'm not in the rap game no more, so I can't speak on that. But I mean, of course I'm biased. I'm born and raised up here. The weather isn't as good, but I think the food is better, and I think the people are better up in the Bay.
I'm gonna have to take you up on that, man. I haven't been to the Bay yet, but one thing I consistently hear about the Bay is the food.
Yeah. I mean, LA, don't get me wrong, LA has amazing food as well. But I mean, I'm just biased because, you know what I'm saying, I grew up here, so I'm always gonna think the food is better.
Understood. I know, Matt, I know you heard that, man. Well, look. Next up, you going with a hotel or you going with the hostel?
Hostel, 100%. Hotels are good. They serve their purpose. But for me, I'm a solo traveler. But I am like, for me, the number one reason that I love to travel is the people that I meet, whether it's locals or it's other, like, you know, foreigners and other travelers. My number one reason is the people that I meet. I love interacting with new people and meeting like-minded people in hostels. Create those opportunities a lot easier to meet like-minded people. So I'm always going to stay in hostels. I don't think I'll ever stop, actually.
No, I definitely agree. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that as well because we got to debunk some stuff as well. Next up, you going with Nipsey Hussle or E40?
Oh, that's a fucking hard one. Damn. Oh, do I get, is it something if I can't choose one, do I get a punishment or something? Oh man. I'm gonna go, okay, not because I'm biased, but I'm gonna go with E40. Just because of the longevity. You know, that E40's been in the game. And like a lot of just like my slang and the mannerisms and things that like exist in the culture up here and just in my psyche have come from E40. So I'm going to go with E40. But I will say, speaking to Nipsey, like it breaks my heart every time I think about Nipsey, every time I hear one of Nipsey's songs, every time I see a quote or a picture or something on Instagram or the internet with Nipsey, like the whole situation with his death, it just absolutely breaks my heart. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I just fucking hate the circumstances that a lot of the people that look like us in these inner city cities. I hate the circumstances that we live in, and when we have tragedies like this, it just hits home, and like that man shouldn't have gone out the way he did. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Definitely agree, bro. Definitely agree, man. One time for Nip, man.
For sure. If I
Last
wasn't
one.
pour one out right.
That's my guy, man. Here go to one, man. So, would you rather have free travel for life, or would you take 1 mil?
Free travel for life or $1 million? I'm gonna take $1 million because what I'm gonna do with that 1 million is gonna get me free travel for life. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna invest, I'm gonna reinvest. I'll take the 1 million.
I like the double up mentality. I see what you did there. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into it, man. I definitely want to hear your perspective because you said some key things, and one thing I appreciate about what you're doing is the way you travel. So initially I can already tell like you're not afraid to put yourself out there, and from what I've seen, what I'm saying, from what you're putting out there on your socials, man, is led to some great connections and it's led to some great things, right? So I know you talked about like 2016 was like what I'm saying the beginning. So what kicked you off into traveling and what kept you going? Like, let's walk us through that.
All right. So, I mean, before 2016, I had done some traveling, but it was like with family and as a teen and a kid and stuff. So I technically don't really count that. But I've always been an adventurous type of person. Like I've always wanted to see new things, do new things, experience new things, meet new people. Like I'm always on the go when it comes to things like that. So I've always wanted to travel, but just didn't really for one, have the means to do so and the know-how to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So it was always just kind of like fever dream of mine to like go to Tokyo and go to a place by myself and all these type of things, right? Like I even remember years ago, I was at work and I had like looked up tickets to Tokyo, and I don't remember what year this was. This might have been like 2011, 2012. Like I had a daughter very young. At 23, I had a daughter. So I was like young and broke at the time, single father. And I remember looking up a ticket to Tokyo, and I remember that shit was like $1,500. I think even more. No, it was like $1,900, like close to $2,000. But I had just only looked on Virgin Atlantic. I didn't know anything about like budget airlines and things like that. I just knew like Virgin Airlines. And I remember seeing this ticket that was like close to $2,000. And, I was making like $15 an hour at the time. And I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm going to be able to pull something like this off. So it was always this like fever dream, something in the back of my mind that I would get to as I was older. And so 2016 was the year that I was finally able to travel. And I actually took a trip to Tokyo, and I went with 6 other friends. And the way that trip was set up, like I had bought the ticket like 6 months before flying out. So like I had 6 months to like research, and I basically researched. I exhausted every avenue of research I could find. Right, I couldn't find anything new about Tokyo. So I still I want to say I exhausted that information at like month 2 or month 3. So I just had all this time to just start researching other trips and shit. And so I ended up finding about like solo travel. So even before I went to Japan with a group, I had found out about solo travel. So then I started researching like good places to go for a first time solo travel. And I landed on Thailand. Okay. So even before I left for Tokyo, I had bought my ticket to Thailand. So October 2016, I was flying to Tokyo, and then the following March 2017, I had a trip set for Thailand. So I had like these two pretty much back-to-back trips set before I even embarked on my first trip, right? So I get to Tokyo, everything is amazing. Like it totally exceeded my expectations, but it's not a negative but it's like I went with all my friends from home, you know what I'm saying? So we were doing the same shit we was doing in Oakland. We get a bottle, we
Yeah.
run, tear the streets up. In the daytime, we go out in the daytime and kind of like explore and then kind of rinse and repeat, you know what I'm saying? So it was fairly standard. It wasn't until I went to Thailand on that first solo trip that I really got the travel bug, where it was like, no, this is like what I want to do. Like I need to things that are happening back home, I don't give a fuck about. Like, I need to figure out a way to make it so I can do this. And what I mean by this is like travel by myself, not a very loose itinerary, and just kind of making it up as I go. I was like, man, I need to figure out how to do this more often. And it, like I said, it changed the course of my life. Um, and, since that trip, I haven't looked back. I've taken at least 3 trips a year since, some years more. And I just kind of like position myself where I can do this, not on a full-time scale, because I have my daughter at home. I'm not going to leave her for extended periods of time. So, I'm saying that still I need to keep a 9 to 5 job. I own a house. Like there's roots that I have at home that I can't leave just yet, but it's like I position myself to be able to travel more often. So it just completely changed the things I had kind of planned for life already.
Yeah, and that's dope. But how the hell did you, for your first like major trip, go to Tokyo? Like, how long was that flight, man?
It wasn't that bad because coming from the West Coast, like, so our route, what we did is we went up to Canada, so like Vancouver, because we flew from San Francisco up to Vancouver, which was maybe like a 3-hour flight, and then over to Tokyo, which was like just another, I think like 9 hours. So it wasn't that bad because it's like the west coast of the U.S. is like one skip over to Tokyo, so that flight wasn't that bad at all.
Okay, so y'all jumped over the Pacific. Y'all didn't go across country to get. Okay, okay.
Right, exactly. We jumped over the Pacific, so it wasn't that bad. And like when I'm really passionate about something, like I'm a dive all the way in. So like I was damn near tour guide for everybody because I had just researched everything. It's like, okay, what's the options? What we gonna do today? I'm gonna pull up my fucking doc that I have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put together any itinerary, but I just put together like, these are the type of things we can do if we want food. If this is the options we can have. These are the things, you know what I'm saying? So I just had I exhausted all the information I could.
Yeah, and that's always key because like uh, a lot of times you see group trips fail because people fail to plan, right? And it's like not saying that you got to have an itinerary and we got to do like everything at this time, right? But you want to have those options available so you're not standing in the middle of the street like, bro, what we about to eat? Oh, I don't know, let me look something up. And it's like you ain't got time to do that at that point, right? You wasting precious time, right? So
Exactly.
that planning piece is super important. So like talk to the people that say like, hey, like because it's always people out there like, hey, like how the hell you always on the road? Like you just got hella money, right? And that may not. I know for me that's not always the case. I'm just pretty good at planning. So like, what is like planning for trips look like for you?
All right. So for me, right now it's a little bit different than what it was at the beginning. So at the beginning, what I mean by beginning is like those first couple of trips is what I would do is, so let me break it down. So cost wise, so say for instance you don't make a lot of money but you still want to travel. Like the best way to do it is to buy your ticket as far out in advance as you can, right? But then also it's like, say for instance, so at the time when I did that Tokyo trip, I think I was making like maybe about 30,000 a year. Okay. Which isn't a lot of money at all. No, I take that back. I was making a little bit more. I was making like in the upper 40, low 50,000 a year. But it's still, I'm single father, paying a mortgage. For my shit, it wasn't a lot. I was struggling, okay? But I was able to put away, after with every check, I was saving like $150 to $200 from every paycheck, and I just put that away into like a online savings account that I didn't even see. It just came straight out of my direct deposit. And so what I did is I took those that monthly, monthly amount of money, and I used that to buy a ticket. The ticket, so it's say for instance, it takes me 6 months to save up to buy the ticket. And then I buy the ticket, 6 months out. So then that leaves me another 6 months to continue to save for the trip. Okay, so that's like a year's worth of basically saving up or whatever. And then when it comes to like the logistics and stuff, it's just using your Googles, you know what I'm saying? So I would start Googling like unique things to do in this city, cool things to do in this city, the best food to eat in this city. What are the best neighborhoods to stay in this city or whatever? And then I just compile all that into a document. And so when it's time for me to be in these locations, I could just go to my document and figure out like, okay, today I got nothing planned. So let me wake up and let me look at my document. Let's see what's the best breakfast spot to eat at. Then I'll go to the breakfast spot. Then what's a good activity? Let's see what's close to where I'm staying. And then I'll go like that. That was more in the beginning. Now though, when it comes to like budgeting for it, I still do that same thing where I have this online savings account that's strictly for my travels, and it just comes straight out of my my paycheck, and it's just it's a fund that I have that I can always spend towards travel, right? So I know a lot of people, if you can't do that, then you got to figure out how to budget and save up or whatever. When it comes to like planning shit, at this point, bro, I don't do any fucking planning. If I know I'm gonna go to a country, what I'll do is I'll figure out like, okay, what's the best city to fly into, which will in most cases figure out like the cheapest city to fly into. And then with that city, I'll figure out what's the best hostel to stay at. Once I figure that out, then I'll book that hostel for like 2 to 3 nights. And then from there, because when you stay at a hostel, you are meeting other people that are backpacking, that are like either solo or just backpacking. And then you have like the staff and other volunteers. So it's like all these like-minded people that are kind of like not really big planners or whatever, but they have, most of the time, most of the people have been in the country already, or you just have staff members. So what I do is I just show up, figure it out, be the personable motherfucker that I am, and then just figure out, okay, what's something good to do in this city, and I'll just go. I'll figure it out as I go. That's a little bit more advanced, but I've done it enough to know that like it's always going to work out. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I answered your question right.
No, that's a great question. Like we segueing right into it, right? So it's like, you know, I don't know, like when you was growing up, did you see the movie Hostel or heard about the movie? And
Of
then
course,
like
yeah.
everybody like, bro, like I ain't going to no hostel, bro. Like I'm not staying in no hostel, right? And so like
Right.
I know for me, like I didn't even see the movie, but I had that same mindset, right? And then
Right.
I was out in Tanzania, I was in East Africa
Okay.
with my homegirl visiting, right? And we was like, we went to Zanzibar. So we took a ferry over to Zanzibar. And so we was with, it's like 4 of us, but like something happened, like all the hotels, but she's like, well, we're gonna stay in the house, is that okay with you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Like I heard they don't clean the bathrooms. She was
Right.
like, no, I'm like, what if somebody like do something to her? She's like, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just do it. I'm going with the vibes. And we got there, we pulled up, and it was like a whole different like world of like travel. Like, oh, like you from there, you from here, you from there. Like, oh, you speak
Right.
this language. Oh, like you just came from there, you gonna give me some tips on that. And so I was like, dang, like this, like just like a meeting of the minds that for folks that traveling. And so I thought, and on top of that, like you're saving a lot of money too. So like for you, like what I'm saying, as far as like being in a hostel, like what's your experience been as far as like what I'm saying, booking hostels, being in there, what that vibe is like, and all that good stuff.
Right. So it started so I had already known about hostels, and my first hostel experience was when I was in Tokyo. And so what we did, well, it was in Osaka actually. So our trip was like 12 days. We flew into Tokyo, we went to Osaka, then we went to what's the other city that we went to? It doesn't really matter, but I told my homies, I was like, look, when we get to Japan, we'll stay in the Airbnbs, but like I just want to ask y'all, can we stay in a hostel for one of the cities? Like, we do it for 2 nights, because I just need to get this out of my system. I've been wanting to stay in a hostel forever. And then when I went to Thailand was when I just did hostels the whole way, right? So like for me, I couldn't wait to experience that, because it's like I said before, like I've always been a people person. I've always wanted to interact with people. So like the thought of going somewhere and kind of like staying in a dorm room and then just trying to figure it out and navigate like with these random people and getting to know all these other people like was super exciting to me. So I already kind of went into it as like, I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but I don't care, because this is like I'm challenging myself, and I'm excited to kind of be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? But over time, like, I've grown to love them even more just because of the experiences that I've had. And so it's like when it comes to like booking hostels, there's an app that's called Hostel World, and that's usually go to. Exactly. So like I usually don't even like. Well, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
So you gotta read the reviews, bro.
Exactly. I use Hostel World for the reviews, but then sometimes I'll book through the app, but I also like what I know is like, Hostel World will charge a 15% commission or whatever. And so a lot of the times you can go straight to the hostel and like book through their website, and you can get it as a discount because they're not getting charged that 15%. So I usually will use Hostel World as a way to like, gauge what's the good hostels and read the reviews. I use it for the reviews. And I also, another good thing to research is Reddit. So what I'll do is I'll just say like, what's the best hostel, or Google, like what's the best hostel in this city? And then I'll put Reddit at the end of that Google search, and then it'll kind of comb through the website, and I can get like good user reviews through that as well. And dude, I mean, up until this point, let me knock on wood, I haven't had a bad experience in a hostel yet. I have stayed in some like shady, I don't want to say shady hostels, but like, some hostels that are a little bit like dirtier than the rest. But like, I'm not really like, I'm not uptight when it comes to things like that. I can sleep on the fucking floor and find comfort in it. You know what I'm saying? But like one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that even at hostels, you don't need to stay in a dorm room. They have private rooms with private bathrooms that will be even cheaper than staying in a hotel. You know what I'm saying? But you get the added experience of being with other people. And it's only if that's what you want. A lot of people want to go places, even if they're going by themselves, they want to go and travel and actually be by themselves, which I can understand. And if you're traveling with other people, then you might not have to worry about, well, I don't want to meet other people because I'm here with my tribe already. So a hostel might not make sense. But if you're looking to be social, if you're looking for like, a cheaper accommodation, but it's still clean and still put together, and if you're looking to travel by yourself, I implore people to travel at a hostel. And if you're not comfortable with staying in a dorm room, which I can 100% understand, just look for hostels that have private rooms.
No, that's some great game right there. Because a lot of folks, think that travel's unattainable, right? And sometimes we just don't know where to look, right? We might just go get on straight to Marriott app and be like, oh, it's 300 a night, I ain't going, right? Whereas like you might get on the house and be like, get you a private room, $35 a night, and
Exactly.
you can use the rest on excursions, right?
Right.
I think sometimes we tell the stories. Well, in the news, we always hear the negative story about how three people got killed in Mexico or something went down, right? And then people run to the internet and say, they blow it out of proportion, don't really provide context, right? So,
Right.
like, what are some like relationships that you built by just staying in the house and that just turned out to be good for you?
Bro, I can tell you, man, so my travel experience is so bittersweet because pretty much with every trip that I take, I have never fallen in love and fallen out of love so many times. And I mean that in a platonic sense, not even just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm like, I have just met my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, now I gotta say bye to these motherfuckers. And like, and it'll happen multiple times in a trip. If I take like a 3-week trip, and I'm in a country where I'm bouncing around from city to city all over the country. It's like I go to my first hostel and I meet 2 people there, and we just fucking hit it off, and we just having hella fun together. And I'm like, man, I fucking love y'all, but now I gotta fucking leave to go to this next city, and I'm heartbroken because I'm about to miss out on fun with my new best fucking friends. And then I go to the next hostel and it happens all over again. Like that's pretty much my experience with staying in hostels. And that's one of the reasons why I will continue to do it, because it's like, I mean, it's just like you meeting so many like-minded people, and it kind of takes a certain type of person to stay in a hostel, right? It's going to be more of an outgoing type of person. It's going to be, even if they're not the outgoing type, they're going to be the more open type. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be open to more outgoing people and more experiences and shit. And so, like, I mean, I grew up in the hood, and so my entire life I wouldn't say I was alienated, but like I was the white boy in the clique, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like I grew up around a lot of fucking closed-minded and judgmental people that like when I get around closed-minded and especially judgmental people, I fucking hate that shit. Like I don't shut down like I used to, but like I just don't like being around those type of people. So when I am in these hostels and stuff, it's just like, oh, I have finally like found my tribe, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like people that are like trying to experience new things in life, trying to experience new cultures and all this type of stuff. So it's just like it feels so good to be around those type of people. And then you can get to I can't speak on the romantic sense as well. It's like there be some fine ass women that be staying at these hostels, and it just goes back into like the people being open and like, you know what I'm saying? Like Americans were a lot like we're prudes out here. We don't look at like sex and relations the same way as other cultures. And so when you're you get to these places and like just the romantic side, the sex side, and the things. It's like it's a lot more open. You can have more fun. Nobody is looking to judge the next person. You just have a lot of fun, man. I just all around, bro. I haven't had a bad experience yet at a hostel. I know it'll happen sooner or later, but I've been lucky enough that it hasn't happened yet.
That's because you reading the reviews on Hostel World, man, and Reddit, man. You doing your research, man. So
Yeah, for
that
sure.
that yields good things, and I think that's the beauty about it. It's like sometimes, like this is one thing, like I tell my folks all the time, and like me and Matt, like we talk about this all the time. Like we're not going on a trip to go do all the same shit you do at home. Like if that's what you want to do, I'm not knocking you, but that's not the vibe I be on when I'm going out, right? Like let's meet some new people, learn some new culture, and it's the beauty about it is like, yo, like you end up getting these people WhatsApp and they be like, yo, like you in my country, just hit me up, let me know I got you, right? You know?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's no better feeling in the world to like come somewhere as a stranger and just leave and like, dang, like I got 3 new friends, you know what I'm saying? Like if I go to Amsterdam or you go somewhere else, it's like you got people there now. People are like, how you know all these people? It's like you got to put yourself out there, and I think that's super important. So for you, like, what was that process like in like building your confidence up to get to where you are now, as far as like traveling
Right. I mean,
solo and taking longer trips too?
right. I mean, it started back home. You know what I'm saying? I've always been pretty outgoing like I can be fairly self-conscious is not the word I was looking for, but like I can be fairly like social. Like I have a bit of social anxiety, a normal sense of it, right? Um, but like it kind of started back home. I've always been the one that wants to meet everybody, and like when I was doing music like that type of personality, that type of industry will push that type of personality. So if I'm out at a show or I'm out at an event and I have to promote a song that I'm working on, or I have to promote another event that I'm putting on within a month, like you got to put yourself out there and to meet people and things like that, you know what I'm saying? And so growing up in Oakland, it's like you kind of get that gift of the gab by nature. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like I definitely had an advantage growing up in the type of city that I grew up in, because I can pretty much navigate within any circle, because of the Bay Area is very diverse. So like the schools that I went to, I grew up with all cultures. I grew up, I was pretty middle class, but I grew up in the hood. So like, I grew up around people that were like lower class, right? But I went to a bunch of schools that had people that were like lower, middle, and upper class. So I've always been able to navigate all different types of circles and races and cultures and all that type of stuff. So like as an adult, and I also started traveling late. So my first trip, I was 32. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I kind of had already like found myself. I had already got my grown man confidence already before I even embarked on these like solo trips and stuff. So it was a natural progression of life for me, you know.
No, that's solid, because I think it's important to really like point that out. Like everybody's at different points, right? And so,
Mm,
I think the sometimes people get things misconstrued because everybody's, especially I've noticed like when I was in my 20s, like people were getting the Instagram rat race, right? Where it's like I gotta be have a house by 25, and be driving the latest and greatest car, and working at this place by this age, or I got you see people post I got this by this age, and it's like, bro, it ain't really a race. Like, run yours. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people have bought into that Kool-Aid, where it's like, yeah, like even when I'm traveling, it's not to flex on nobody. It's really to like shed light, to like let people know like it's doable. If I can do it, you can do it, right? And so
100%.
I think that's super important, and we share that. And I try to be, not just on some flex stuff, like post a cool ass caption of the latest rap song, and then you see me like just standing on the pillow of the rock for 15 minutes trying to get the perfect angle. It's like, nah, like I'm gonna give you some game about how to get connected where I was at, so you don't have to go through what I went through, right? And
Right.
I like the fact that like you have been able to like use photography, but also use like personality to meet people. So like, how does like all your talents like mesh? You know what I'm saying, when you're on the road traveling and all that good stuff.
Man, I don't know. It's hard to speak on, man. It's just like I know how to party. I know how to have a good time. I know what makes people feel comfortable, right? Because like I said, growing up, I was made to feel very uncomfortable by my peers that were super fucking judgmental and closed minded. So like I practice to never make somebody around me feel that way. And people that are in my life can attest that like they don't feel uncomfortable when I'm around. Like I make sure I will go out of my way to make sure that people can feel like they can be themselves around me. I'm going to encourage that. And so that type of mentality from me, it works in situations like that. So like I know what it's like to be in a room full of people that you don't know. And it's like I guess you can attest this to like the music industry. Like I know what it's like to be around people. I mean, be in a room with people, like everybody knows each other in the room except for you, and nobody is like inviting to like invite you into the conversation. I know what that feels like to be that person. I've been that person so many times in my life. So if I'm at the hostel and I've like acclimated myself around everybody that's there, and a new person comes in, I'm gonna be the one to go over to that person, like, yo, what's going on, man? What's your name? Where you from? You from here? I gotta, it's a bunch of people over here playing Jenga. You wanna join? Like, I will be that person to reach out, because I know how hard it is to kind of like, okay, I gotta go introduce myself. I gotta go say hi but everybody's already like made friends and like, you know what I'm saying? So I will be that one to like, fuck, I'm gonna break the ice for you. You know what I'm saying? So like that mentality goes a long way when it comes to like solo travel and staying in hostels and trying to be like social while you travel.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So, like, now where you at right now? Are you doing more so solo travel? Or are you doing groups as well?
Bro, I'm only solo traveling. I have so the Tokyo trip I was the first one. I was with people. Um, I took a trip to Colombia with a girl I was dating at the time, and then I took a trip to Guatemala with another homie. But I met this dude's from Toronto. I met him in Thailand years ago, and I just knew that me and him was going. I actually joined on his trip, but I knew it was going to be a good trip because he was also a backpacker staying in hostels. So I knew it was going to work out. But other than that, bro, I 100% travel by myself. Oh yeah, and I take my daughter on trips as well. But like, other than that, I prefer to travel by myself. If it's a country that I want to go to, and it's the first time with me traveling that country, I want to experience it by myself before I experience it with somebody else.
That's a good feeling. Like to go somewhere, figure out the lay of the land, really get plugged in, and
Yeah,
then bring people back with you.
exactly. I
That,
love
that's
that.
that's that's a good feeling. It's
Absolutely.
one of those things kind of like it's undescribable sometimes, you know. Um,
Hmm.
you said something that kind of just stuck out to me where it was like, and I think you know, the more I travel, the more I see other cultures and people. I think sometimes it's like the U.S. is how we was, you know, what I'm saying conditioned and how we were raised and how we were thought to believe like everybody trying to one up everybody.
Right.
And so, like when you look at it, it's like you know, like growing up, like oh, like who got the flies J's on? My grandma can't afford those J's, bro. Like so, I got these. You know, I got the little Adidas that she bought out of Value City. Y'all can roast me. It's cool. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I got the little felines for $40. You feel me? And it's like even to this day, like I still remember this as an adult, and it's like I don't buy J's. I can afford them now, but it's like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, I'm not. Hey, Matt. I don't know who bought you some snacks, bro, but we got to talk about this. They did you dirty, bro.
The shacks, though. Shout
I
out
would
to
have
the
been fucking like crying, like, nah, grandma, I can't wear these to school.
I can't wear it. I'm wearing my socks. Fuck these shacks.
Boy, where your shoes at? But man, look, it was tough though, and it's like one of the things that like traveling has shown me is like one, I don't take as much stuff with me no more now, cause like I don't need all that stuff, man. So like, what things have like fundamentally changed for you after like just being exposed to a different side of travel, and all
Right.
that good stuff.
I mean, it's definitely taught me minimalism, right? So, like, I learned this very early in my travel career. Tokyo trip, I bought a backpack because I knew I was going to want to start this backpack journey. So I bought a backpack, but I overpacked the fuck out of it. And it's like I gotta lug all this shit around. It was so heavy that I had to ship things back. Like I shipped half my bag back home, my nigga. Okay. So then, so then I go to Thailand, and Thailand was a way worse trip to overpack because I was so like Tokyo. We just went to three different cities, so we stayed in like just a couple of Airbnbs and then one hostel. It wasn't like a lot of like all this type of shit. So I get to Thailand and I'm thinking that I'm gonna pack as minimal as I can. Excuse me. I packed way less than I did when I went to Tokyo, but I still overpacked because this type of trip, it was like, I'm here for 2 days. I'm about to get on a bus and then I'm going here and I'm stay here for one night. And then I'm staying at the next spot for 4 days. So it was like a constant of like in and out of my backpack. So I learned but it also is fucking hot as shit. So it's like, I got just way too much stuff. So then I learned like to really, really, really like live as minimal as I can. And I learned that like I don't need a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm used to like I want to get some fits off, so I'm a pack a couple of different things, but then you end up going and the finest girl in the hostel, you end up knocking her with the dirtiest fucking clothes on, and you realize I don't need any of this shit. Like I'm gonna bring one pair of shoes, one pair of shorts, a pair of jeans, a couple of pairs of shirts. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the climate, if I go to a spot that's gonna be a little bit colder, of course I'll bring some more like warmer clothes. But like if I go to a place and I majority love to travel to like tropical climates. If I'm gonna go to a spot like that, bro, I'm hardly bringing any clothes. You know what I'm saying? So that's like one of the most glaring things. It's like I don't need a lot of stuff to like have a successful trip. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And you come out
Yeah,
better, man. Like you can either wash them when you get there, or if you need like an extra t-shirt, you can run to the store and get pick up a pack of tees. You know?
exactly. And that's why I travel to places that are cheap because like if I need more stuff, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get things at a fraction of what I would have to get it back home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like Brandon threw his back out trying to carry that backpack, y'all. So don't be like him, man. Like,
Exactly.
take that free game and apply it, travel our family, because you really and it's nothing worse than just having too much stuff because like you trying to go through it and figure it take you long to get dressed during the day and stuff like that. You be like, dang, like what's going on when the whole time you came down there and wore some swim trunks and rotated out your tees, right? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's important. I think one of the things like because I'm on a trip right now. I'm going through Europe, and so I just was in London, in Berlin right now, and then I'm gonna head to Paris in a couple of days. But I've been paying attention to things and how people live and how they move over here, and it's much different, right? Um,
Mhm.
as being out of the country, I think we talked about there's a certain sense of freedom that comes with that, right?
Right.
Um, I think for me, it's like it's less looking over my back and my shoulder, right? Where it's like
100%.
being a black man in America, I didn't realize like how heavy that burden is until like I really started traveling and realizing like life ain't got to be this hard, man. Like, have you had that like that revelation and what that look like for you, man?
Man, I realized that like, you grow up in America as a black man and we're born with a target on our back, right? And um I realized like when I leave the country, I'm not the target. Like I'm a tourist. You could tell I'm a tourist. You could tell I'm not from there, but I'm not the target for most of the crime. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, let me knock on wood because it's probably gonna happen eventually. But like I have not been the victim of any type of crime or anything like that. And I shouldn't like brag on that because it can happen to anybody in any place. But it's like going through so pretty much throughout the pandemic, I was traveling a lot through Latin America because it just didn't close, and I was working remote, and I just had the opportunity to do so. I was bigger than everybody. It's like everybody out there. It's like nigga, unless you show me a gun, you're not getting anything off of me, dog. You know what I'm saying? And also, it's just like the people that were targets to all of the crime were the gringos. You know what I'm saying? Like the white people, not to make this racy or anything, but it's like they weren't looking at me to to do any type of thing. And so I felt a lot more freedom, or I feel a lot more freedom when I'm out of the country. And I've never had to think that like, oh, is anybody looking at me because I'm black? But I also have not gone and done much travel through Europe. I've only been to London for a weekend, and then I went to Barcelona for a week. So I haven't done like a lot of travel through Europe, which is where I hear a lot of racism can still happen to a person of color. So majority of my travels have been just through to spots in Asia and a bunch of spots in Central and Latin America. I mean Central and South America. So it's like that feeling of like in the back of my mind, like am I about to get targeted because I'm a black man? Like that, it was like almost alleviated. You know what I'm saying? A lot less
No, that
stress.
no, that's real. That's real. I will say this, like it's one of those things where it's like like and like if you go into the South, right, and you see the good old boys out there with the Confederate flags, like they coming out, they looking at you like, boy, you better get on about your business, right? And that's a different type of stare where it's like, okay, let me go ahead and get this 30 on pump three and get the hell up out of here, right?
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is like being here, like people are staring out of curiosity. So it's like a quick glance, like, damn, oh, that's a black person. Oh, he a big black dude. Okay. And I'm gonna go about my business, right? You know what I'm saying? But there's not like, you know what I'm saying, you gotta worry about like, dang, like, am I supposed to be here and start looking around like that? And so I do appreciate that. Like it's more so out of curiosity than anything.
Right.
But definitely do recognize that there is a difference from being like, you know what I'm saying, in Central and South America, which a lot of people don't realize is hella Afro Latinos
Yeah,
across, you know, space, man.
for real. I was in Colombia and I'm like, bro, if it wasn't for my accent, I could be from here. You know what I'm saying? I've
Yeah,
seen a bunch of people that look like me and for sure look like you. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel like a foreigner, and especially when I was in Colombia, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Colombia is different. All our cousins is over there. That stop was a major stop right there on the trade. So
yeah,
they deep over there. They look like us. They get their hair braided. They do everything we do. They just speak Spanish, right? Um,
exactly.
and you spent a month in Colombia, right?
I did, yeah.
What was that like for you?
That was good, man. It was dope. It was a little bit bittersweet. I had some personal things that kind of happened when I went there with the girl I was dating, and so we kind of went through some shit. But like outside of that, like the trip was good. Colombia is great. I think that's the spot that I could see myself moving to because I don't want to live in America that much longer. Um, and so I'm thinking like, I've been kind of like doing my research and trying to figure out like where outside of America, or outside of the U.S. could I move to? And Colombia is like a very strong contender, and I had the time of my life in that month, man.
Hey man, I envy you because I every time I go down and I never want to leave. And so
Oh
one,
man,
one day I'm gonna try to get a month. I'm gonna try to get a month, man.
yeah,
Um,
bro.
and then I know you mentioned that you were working remote and traveling as well. So
Hmm.
how did you make that work?
So I mean that just kind of went into what I was changing about my life to position myself to start traveling more. And so back when I took those like first two trips, I was working this government job that was very strict. Like it was one of those things where like if I showed up at 8:01 in the morning, I had to leave. I couldn't leave until 5:01 type of job. Like they was very strict with the time. So then like, my PTO, I had to like save it up and I couldn't go to the doctor if if I needed to take time off because I knew I had a trip saved up. And so it was just way too rigid for what I was trying to position my life in. And so at the time it was like, okay, I'm either gonna have to quit this job and go like 100% into this like art and music life to position myself to have more time to travel, or I'm just gonna have to try to take advantage of where I live in the Silicon Valley and get a tech job because I had these like rose-colored lenses of like, oh, tech job, more money, more time. You're not really, you're not doing work and all this type of shit. And so, it took me about a year and a half. I ended up getting a tech job, and then I got that job in 2019. Um, and it was a job that like I was able to work remote if I wanted to, right? But I would go into the office just because like it was a brand new job and it was a cool place to work and stuff. And so I would find myself in the office more often. Um, and I was an executive assistant. I actually still am an executive assistant, which
Mhm.
to me is if anybody's looking to travel more often while still working a job, like I would implore you to look into being some type of administrative assistant or something like that. And I got very lucky that the executives that I was supporting were very supportive of me traveling. So that first year, 2019, I didn't really do that much travel. Like I did some trips, but like say for instance, when I went to London, I went for a weekend, right? Like I flew out on a Thursday, came back on a Monday, but I was like still working that Thursday and that Friday, and then like took off the Monday to fly back or whatever. But then the pandemic hit. So then the pandemic hits and it goes to 100% remote, right? So I had already like established that like I'm a traveler and this is what my life is set up to do. And you know, the work was fairly easy enough that I was able to manage being able to work remote and make sure that like I got all my tasks and stuff done so it can leave me more room to kind of like do what I want in my life. And then with my daughter, her mom at the time was pregnant. And so, you know, we two separate households. We didn't want to cross-contaminate households. So my daughter wasn't with me pretty much at all through the pandemic. So I was just like, well, fuck it, I'm out. So I just ended up just traveling a bunch. But what I was doing was I was like, I would do like a week or two gone, and then I come home for like a month and a half. And then I dip out for another week or two, just so I wasn't like overwhelming myself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was really like timing, bro. Like I'm very blessed when it comes to things like that. Like I will, you know, position myself to work a job that I was like, okay, it would probably give me more time and more money. And then not even a full year later, we get into a pandemic, and all I have is now money and time. And you know what I'm saying, a lot less responsibility. So I was able to really fulfill that dream of like traveling, and yeah. So
No, you definitely made that work, and you know, traveling during the pandemic was a great time to travel, and that's not, you know, trying to be facetious about what happened. Like I understand the magnitude of what happened, but them flight
right.
prices were cheap. They were cheap, so bro. Like, yo, I flew to Saloon one way for like $75, man. I'm like, yo, the next
Right.
year, like Saloon one way was like 400. I'm like, man, glad
Yeah,
I
it's
got in,
wild.
right?
Yeah, I was out, bro. I was buying tickets. Like I remember one time, bro, I bought a ticket hungover. Like nigga, I went to the bar because I was celebrating my homies like and work anniversary. So we run it up at the bar, and I bought a ticket while I was drunk. I woke up the next morning to go. I had to go to Mexico the next morning. Like that's how crazy it was for me at that time. I was living the absolute dream, but I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't want to make light of that pandemic because people died and the world definitely went through some shit. But gosh, damn, if it wasn't a good 1.5 years, 2.5 years for me,
Glad to be there.
right? Oh man.
Man. Well, definitely, man. I appreciate you for coming on and just, you know what I'm saying, impart knowledge, you know what I'm saying, just sharing what you got going on and things like that.
Of course.
If you had to leave anything, you know, with our travel hour family, you know, what would that be?
Um, just just travel, man. I mean, that's the simplest way I can do it, man. Just find a way to fucking do it. Even if you can't afford it, like just start putting away a little bit here and there. And it may take you 2 years to make your dream trip happen, but just like make that shit happen. And I just implore people to get out there, see the world. You know what I'm saying? Try to, when you do it, try to live a little bit differently than what you do back at home. Get out that comfort zone a bit. Don't be scared to go and ask people that do travel questions. Like for instance, myself, I can't stop talking about travel. I'm always looking for an opportunity, excuse me, to talk about travel. So when people hit side of my DMs with like random questions, I'm like always happy to answer whatever questions, you know what I'm saying? So like just make that shit happen. Get out there and get out of your comfort zone, try some new foods, try some new people, try like everything, you know what I'm saying? Just get some experiences. If you can't swim, go put on a goddamn life vest and get in that water. Like get out of your comfort zone and go and see the world. Go see some new cultures.
No, that's definitely real, man. You definitely heard it from my man Brandon. Get out there. The world is yours at the end of the day. You know, it is what you make it. So, Travel Our Family, we definitely want y'all to get out there and keep doing what y'all doing. Before we get up out of here, we do got to leave y'all with the wondering tip of the week. So we got two things for y'all, right? One of the things that we talked about was moving and packing lighter, right? So one of the things that we wanted to impart on y'all, and I started doing as well, roll your clothes, roll your clothes, right? It's gonna save you a lot of space in that backpack, right? And definitely keep, you know what I'm saying? Because like I know like a lot of the budget airlines, the thing is they charge, right? They charge for the bags and things like that. You can get around that if you got you like a travel backpack and you roll them clothes up. You would be surprised what you get in there. And then sometimes I use the travel cubes as well, and it really condenses things. So definitely want y'all to know that you ain't got to take the whole kitchen sink and everything with y'all. Second thing, Travelhour family. The other thing you can do is one of the most dangerous things, or one where things can go wrong, is when you're trying to get money out when you're traveling to a destination. So I know one of the things that I do before I go, depending on where I'm going, I order the foreign currency before I even leave the country. Check with your bank. If you're with a major bank like Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you can simply just go online, click foreign currency, and then you order the amount that you need. They'll mail it to the house in 2 days, or you can get it expedited and it gets mailed the next day. So it'll save you time, money, because there's no conversion rate. So when you do it with your own bank, they just give you the money and they just charge you shipping fee. That's all. And so you do save yourself time and money and a hassle and safety as well. So just keep that in mind as we move along the world.
Can I add something to that? So this is for U.S. citizens. Charles Schwab has a bank account, right? They have like a check, like, Charles Schwab is like the investing bank or whatever, but you can get a checking account through Charles Schwab. Their checking account has no foreign transaction fees when you like use the debit card, but also it reimburses all ATM fees. So like you don't pay a fee when you go pull money out the ATM. Pulling money out of the ATM, although it does have like a conversion rate, it's pulling money out of all ATMs is always a lot lower conversion rate than going to like a money exchange or whatever. So if you don't want to go the route of like traveling with the cash on you, you can put all your budgeted money into that Charles Schwab bank account and just pull from the ATM, and you'll be paying a lot less in fees and everything. So
definitely, that's a good game, man. Definitely, the ATM is definitely your friend right there.
For sure.
Yeah. So Brandon, let the folks know where they can find you on social media if they want to connect with you about this travel game.
Yeah, so on TikTok and Instagram, I'm at TheBrandon, BRANDON 510. I am on Twitter, but I'm about to delete that account because fuck Elon Musk. And then my website is thebrandon.co. So yeah, and then I'm also on YouTube. But damn, what is my YouTube? I think it's Awkward Free Spirit. So Awkward Free Spirit on YouTube. So
yeah, so y'all definitely check Brandon out on all socials. He just gave them to you, and we'll make sure we link that in the description as well when this episode drops. As you know, make sure y'all follow, like, and subscribe to Travel Hour. That's THEE Travel Hour. So make sure y'all tap in with us. Glad to have a great guest with us today. Brandon, thanks for coming in and imparting knowledge and just sharing the game with us. We definitely appreciate you, man. And so really wish you the best in your travels, where you're going next and things like that. And until we meet again, man, we appreciate you, bro.
It's all good, man. I really appreciate y'all for having me on. And anytime, bro. Like I said, I can't never stop talking about travel. So anytime y'all want me on again, let me know.
Definitely, just be ready, man.
For sure.